Welcome to the astrology report for the week of August the 28th through to September 3rd. We're going to be looking at some of the weird and wild things going on this week. We got Uranus stationing retrograde, where he's going to be going backwards in the sky until the third week of January and starts this week. We're also going to look at that little bit at that super full blue moon in Pisces on August 30th. But where we're really going to dig in this week is in a very interesting wedge formation that the moon, this new moon, is now building up. It's still new. It's going to create in the sky on the 31st of the month. That's Thursday in my time zone. That's going to create a wedge. And wedges are really powerful breakthrough potentials. But we've got some intensity here. We've got an asteroid named Nessus involved with that moon. That's where we seek revenge. That's where we're acting from a place of wounded pain. We've got Mercury retrograde on the opposite side, going back over old wounded pain and thought and idea, maybe in conversations, who knows? Could get some really bad texts and emails coming up this 31st, but breaking through with wisdom and knowledge with that a Jupiter, Minerva, Uranus combination going on in the sky at the tip of the wedge. So Minerva, the wisdom and knowing, inner knowing asteroid. Okay, so we're going to talk about that for each separate sign. I want you to listen for your rising sign first. It's going to always be more accurate. If you don't know how to do your rising sign, I have a free description tutorial below, how to cast your chart in whole sign houses in the freebie section of my chart. You'll need a birth time. Use whole sign houses because all of us astrologers are pretending we're using whole sign houses on this particular format to give delineations for all signs. So don't talk about your Placidus here. Use whole sign houses. Second of all, third of all, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I am a Hellenistic and traditional astrologer. I like to use astrology for predictive value, giving you navigational guidance for the week ahead, the month ahead, and the year ahead to make the best decisions and time your best life. If you're interested in learning how to do this for yourself, my Sky Reader course is going to open up in the third week of September. There is a wait list to get early bird notice and discounts and get in before I cap the amount of people who subscribe. I'll be releasing the opening of the card and the enrollment probably in the first week of September. Classes start third week of September, 6 weeks long. Check it out. I have a promotion for Patreon this month. Check it out too. You just get a bunch of freebies. If you want to check out my Patreon community, you'll get about $80 worth of goodies for free. And that's a promotion that's only in play in the end of August through the end of September. Now, let's talk about the sky. Well, if you're one of my regulars who are helping this channel grow, then I so appreciate you. And thanks for coming back to listen some more. So I'm trying to get comfortable in my office here. And sorry, I'm like all jiggly here. And we're going to get rolling and talk about the sky. Now, the weeklies are interesting to do. I just started doing them. And I don't really focus just on the moon. I know Cam White likes to do the moon everywhere it goes. I find that that's okay, but that's like, what's the mood of your day? And I want to tell you what's the deep import of what's happening in this week ahead. Why does it matter to your bigger life picture? Not whether you're going to be grumpy, happy, sad. I want you to know, or, whatever, not your emotional content. I want to know about the trajectory of your life. So let's start with the first thing I think is most important this week. And I will do a whole separate video, probably coming out on Tuesday or Wednesday, on this retrogradation of Uranus. Now, Uranus spends half a year retrograde, so it's no big deal. But it's a change of energy. The god of aha, the god of shock and awe, a sudden and unpredictable change. The lightning bolt of the tarot card in the tarot is going to go into reverse motion from our perspective on Earth. And when? August 28th, which is Monday, when this video is coming out. So when he's retrograde, I find myself, the experience is that I have a lot more internal revelation. Like I can channel, I can get divine downloads. My third eye opens up, pineal gland, I find that I'm more appropriately connected to my intuitive insights and those ahas, eurekas, all that stuff. When he's in direct motion, I find I get like just a lot of shit going on in my life. Like I didn't expect, like, shock and awe moment. What do you mean? What do you mean this is happening? Well, Uranus goes, expect the unexpected. Let's shake up the stagnant. Let's not make life predictable. That's some of the stuff he does. Uranus is the original sky god who gave birth to Saturn, who gave birth to Jupiter. So he's Jupiter's grandpa, right? And, he's more than just shock and awe. He's an outer planet, a transpersonal planet. It's really a generational planet. We're all born in every 7 years, or Uranus changes signs roughly every 84 years. He's gone around a whole orbit of the sky. So he's such a big energy. He's such a not of this world energy because he's beyond Saturn that I find it always difficult to just say, this planet's retrograde. And just like we would with a planet from the sun, a planet from sun to Saturn, like inner planets. So let's go with something like He will connect with planets in your natal sky, most likely. You have to know your chart when he retrogrades. And that's going to make it very real for you. But if he doesn't make any direct connections and opposition, square, trine, sextile, conjunction to any of your natal planets during this retrograde is probably not a big deal. What's his degree of retrogradation? I'm going to do a whole video on this, FYI. So, this is just a light touch of it for the week ahead. He's going to retrograde, but starting August 28th at 23 degrees. He stations at 23 degrees of the sign of Taurus. Been in Taurus since 2018, full-time since 2019, leaves in 2026. This is a destabilized house in your natal sky. Okay, for an Aries rising, Taurus is their second house of earnings, right? It's that one sign, one house in your natal sky of the 12 pie slices that's been destabilized since 2018-19. For me as Aquarius rising, it's my fourth house of home. Lots of home changes, lots of disruption in my rent, where I'm living, moving around a lot, Depends on the degree of your ascendant, of course, because as Uranus moves closer to the end degrees of Taurus and degrees of, say, Aquarius, get more oomph from it. I'm mid degrees of Aquarius, and it's been destabilizing. So I want to say that it's you guys, 23 degrees to 19 degrees of Taurus, who feel the retrograde the most. Now, let's broaden that to 20 degrees, all right? So 26 degrees to 16 degrees of the sign of Taurus, sun, moon, or rising especially, okay? We'll really feel this retrogradation. We'll do the whole separate video on that. It'll be probably coming out Tuesday or Wednesday. But I just want you to know it's not so simple. Some of us will not notice anything. Some of us will notice a lot of things. Certainly if you have planets, any planets, especially inner planets, 23 to 19 degrees of Taurus, or broaden it like I just did, 3 degrees on either side of that range, that's where this retrograde is happening. Right, is stationing at 19 degrees to turn around on January 27th. You have planets at 19 Taurus, sun, moon, or rising. It's a big deal. So I have Juno, my asteroid for marriage, at 19 degrees of Taurus. Oh my God, Uranus is going to go direct. Maybe I'll get a marriage proposal. Who knows? Anything can happen on January 27th. Or something like that. But here's the deal. I want you to just think about Monday. You're not going to notice it. Tuesday, you're not going to notice it. Wednesday, you're not going to notice it. Thursday, I'm not thinking you're going to notice much. Okay, because he's just still at 23 degrees and he's not really gone through his multi-week journey. But you'll feel maybe an energy shift, you might be going more inward, intuitive, insightful this week. Second of all, there is Minerva, the asteroid for knowledge and wisdom, sitting with this turnaround story. So with Minerva sitting with Uranus, wisdom and knowledge can be accrued. Wisdom and knowledge can be discovered. And I don't want to just say knowledge. It makes it sound like you're going to read a good book. I mean, gnosis, knowing. Uranus can be your third eye, your inner knowing, your pineal gland, your clairvoyance, your alternate insight capability, your non-ordinary perception. Minerva, like Athena, Roman and Greek goddess for the same thing. I often find clients with a strong Minerva are lawyerly, they're strategic, they even are lawyers, they sometimes are librarians, literally, or also curators of knowledge. So you can also just know, right? You don't need information, you don't need a book, you don't need to read it, you don't need to listen to my broadcast or any other astrologer. Sometimes you know what you know. And that inner knowing, deep knowing, gnosis, Gnosis, is how we're meant to operate, I do believe, as humans. We're meant to know for ourselves what is true. We do not need an intermediary, right? We do not need the Pope or somebody in between us and divine knowledge. We can know for ourselves. And so in that sense, this is a call to go and get in touch this week and all the way through to January 27th with that knowingness within yourself. That's where I'm going to go with it, because we do have this Minerva at 23 Taurus sitting with retrograde Uranus stationed to turn around at 23 degrees of Taurus, with Jupiter at 15 degrees of Taurus, lending an all over air of yay, wisdom and knowledge and goodness anyway, right? Now, moving forward to the 29th of August, we're going to see that the moon will, in its movement through the sky, all right, and it will be on the 29th at the late degrees of Aquarius, at 23 degrees of Aquarius on the 29th, which is Tuesday. It will come into a square with retrograde Uranus sitting with Minerva. Well, hello, something is going to destabilize how you feel, right? It's a square, it's shocking, it's upsetting. It's insightful. It gives you some knowledge. Something is coming through. And it may not be that obvious. It may be that obvious, but you may have an insight, a download, but it may be a little emotionally disturbing. It's a moon that's in Aquarius. It's dark. It's going dark. It's a balsamic moon. It's not a balsamic moon. I'm sorry. It's leaning into the full moon. I always forget we're not full moon. So it's moving into a full moon. It's waning gibbous moon. That's the shaman helper moon, according to Stephen Forrest. No, the helper lover moon. And it's going to be feeling maybe Spock-like, right? Moon in Aquarius, you might have some kind of unsettling information or knowledge delivered to your doorstep, and you're going to treat it with a kind of robotic Spock-like inspection. Then on August the 30th, we have a rare moon. It's rare because it's calendrically rare, a blue moon, the second full moon in a month. Doubling down with it's an astronomically rare, relatively rare supermoon close to Earth. In my last video, on my moon video, some idiot commented, bless his soul, that I was stupid because it's not rare, because it's just a calendar event. And in my intro to the video, I say, it's just a calendrically rare event, everybody. I use those very words. Listen to the videos, trolls, before you troll me. Okay, listen to what I actually say. And sometimes I do a ton of verbal typos. I know that, but I should listen before you comment. So, but it's a calendrically rare and it's a astronomically rare combination. That's all. It's at 7 degrees of Pisces. It's happening on August the 30th. It's conjunct within 3 degrees of Saturn and Pisces. Saturn is retrograding here. It's not the worst moon. It's not the best moon. I talk a lot about some of the things I like about it using the minor asteroids. Certainly anytime a moon is on Saturn, it's about something that's constraining, restricting, and hard, something that may have you reassess a wish, a dream, or a goal in your Pisces part of your chart. Pisces for me is my second house of earnings. A full moon here can bring completion to the earnings story, a fullness, a fulfillment, and a fruition of something you started back in February, March, when there was new moon pouring through the sky in the Pisces part of your sky. So the all signs, blue moon, full moon, supermoon video is out, is trending nicely. Go check out that information for yourself for your rising sun and moon sign. On August the 30th, August the 31st, well, this is where we're going to do all signs, okay? On August the 31st, we're going to show you the sky in a second. I'm going to give you a picture of it. On August, let's do it now so you can see what I'm talking about, and then we'll roll through the chart and do the all signs. This is not going to be a longer video today. My last all signs video for this week I had last week. My holy moly video was quite long. I think this is probably going to be no longer than an hour if you're just settling in to start the all signs portion. And if you're in the live premiere, if I have time to premiere this, please hit the like button. But I don't think I will have time to, well, there'll be a live premiere, but I don't think I'll premiere this tomorrow. Sorry, guys. All right, so August the 31st, here's what we can see in the sky. We can see that the moon has moved around, noon in Washington in the morning and Pacific time, adjust for in the evening in England, adjust for your time zone. But the moon is moving pretty quickly, as she always does, right? It goes through a sign in 2.5 days. She's moving to 16 degrees of the sign of Pisces, co-joining the Nessus asteroid. Now, Nessus is a difficult revenge story. I'm going to share it with you. It's about poison and revenge. And it's opposite Mercury: poison emails, poison phone calls, poison words, poison information, poisonous news stories. I'm just making this stuff up, but that's the word poison. Poison is a Nessus story, as well as revenge and a deep pain in which we do awful things out of a place of deep pain, okay? Where we act out. So here's the moon, our emotions. Moon and water, very volatile, very fluid. It can be a time on August 31st to really be careful. All right, just really be careful that you don't really do something you're going to regret. And I'm going to go beyond that because I'm going to talk about how between August 31st to September the 7th, there's a whole other big story going on in the sky as well. So you're going to see that coming up in a minute, but I want you to see the moon opposite Mercury with Nessus, right? And the breaking of the tension of the wedge that makes it all much, much better. And it's not as gnarly as all that. It's definitely going to be the movement of the wedge into contact with Jupiter, the benefic god, the one who provides wisdom and knowledge and truth, but also with wisdom and knowledge energy from over here, Minerva and Uranus. So watch for a flashpoint of energy on the 31st in which you feel out of control, limbic hijacked. You might want to, really lash out at somebody, or somebody may be lashing out at you. Again, email, phone calls, words, communications that are very difficult. Now, we're going to do all signs for a lot of this, but I want to also back up a bit and show you something else. Alrighty? Or front up a bit and show you something else. We're moving forward. Now you see here Mercury at 17 degrees and Jupiter at 15. That's called a trine. Wonderful, beautiful flow energy between Mercury retrograde trining Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. This is some kind of energy here playing out later at the end of the week, September 3rd, September 1st, 2nd, 3rd. It can be really useful. Okay, and I'm going to talk more about it in a sec. I need to get water, not tea. So it's going to be actually very exact, this what I was showing you, this trine from Mercury, okay, to Jupiter on September the 3rd or so. And that's really at the very end of this week. And it really bleeds through all the way into next week. So I'm going to do a whole separate cool video on this story because Mercury trine Jupiter is important. And it's not the first time. It's the second such pass of Mercury and Jupiter in this formation because of the retrograde motion of Mercury. So what we got going on here is some conversation between Mercury and Jupiter starting around the 31st, well, not even the 31st, starting around September 1st, 2nd, that goes all the way through until about September the 8th. And there's going to be a video on that. So I'm not going to waste my time on that today because it really bleeds through so much to the next week. So if you subscribe, like my channel, hit the bell for notifications, all of those good things. When this video comes out, probably at the end of this week, probably on Thursday or Friday, the all signs delineation tying this to the prior and the coming Mercury Jupiter contacts. There's 3 contacts. The big picture story will be coming out. So in the meantime, let's go back to the hot flashpoint this week because this is the weekly video, right? And you're probably wondering who this guy is with this little squiggly head thingy. That's Pan for pandemic. And the reason he's there, because we'll be talking a lot about him in the weeks ahead, especially in November when he is with Mars, the god of pandemics. We're going to head into some really interesting territory, October, November, to do with that, the whole COVID narrative, basically, yet again. Maybe there's a real resurgence of a variant that we have to care about, or maybe it's just, propaganda, as some people suggest. I don't know. I would say, though, that there's something brewing. And but in November, we're going to see, well, first of all, we're going to see the pandemic god, Pan, moving all the way through Libra for most of October, which is justice. So we do see a lot of stuff going on where people are trying to sue governments and sue Pfizer and sue other people to get their money back for being unduly fired or for being vaccine damaged or something like that, or thinking they've been lied to, who knows. But the gist of it is that after that, unfortunately, when Pan goes into Scorpio, connecting with Mars, who's invisible at that time, getting ready to go in the heart of the sun, I don't like that. There's going to be a Mars Cazimi. Pan will have been there. On the Cazimi, Pan goes into Sag, which means global. It just smacks of some kind of darker pandemic narrative yet again. Really, it does. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but it just feels that way to me. Now, let's go back to the story of the week ahead. We're going to go back so you can see what this looks like again. The wedge will move very quickly as I go through all signs. That you will not see a wedge because the moon is moving too quickly. You will be unwedged from the wedge. Okay, but we're going to go through all signs and we're going to start with Aries. I know the moon is not making a wedge here. The moon on August 30th is at the beginning of the sign of Pisces, right? Headed for that full moon at 7 Pisces. But let's start with the Aries. Number 1, drum roll, sun, moon, and rising sign. If you are an Aries, watch out this week for that flashpoint. I mean, really intense. First of all, let's go back and talk about reminding you with Uranus retrograding in your 2nd house. You want to pay attention to my longer video. This is a regroup, regress on your money story, right? Rethinking it, new ideas for making money, downloads and insights about how you make money, all of that good stuff. But what we have going on the 31st is we have a flashpoint, Olympic hijack, an emotional intensity. And I forgot to tell you guys about the story of Nessus. Well, it's kind of dark. Okay, I'll skip that story right now, but it is put this way. It's a poisoning revenge story, and it's really dramatic, and someone should make a movie out of it. It's tragic. It's a tragic story. So when we act out of pain, basically, and do things we regret, and it can involve the word poison as well. Revenge, poison, and regret. Revenge, poison, and regret are narratives. So watch for poison words, right? Because the moon will be opposite Mercury retrograde. And the retrogradation is in the house of colleagues, coworkers, pets and rental agents. Like me, you may rent a property. It could be your landlord. If you're a landlord, it could be your tenants. It could be even with that sixth house Mercury information or something coming, poison words coming from somebody you're dating. And this poison words Mercury Nessus moon combo is to watch you don't have a blow up in that part of your narrative. Like tell a colleague to blow off or get out or scream at your boss or something like that. But energetically, Jupiter is trying to soothe it. So you can find that the wedge that forms on August 31st points to Jupiter and Uranus and the wisdom and knowledge goddess, but particularly Jupiter, but all three. You may consult somebody who has good words, guidance to give you. You may look at your own speech, the second house's speech, and your own voice, and ask yourself how you want to best use your own speech and voice on the 31st to avoid a massive blowout. And because this Nessus for you, Aries, is happening with the moon in the 12th house, is very unconscious. You're operating off of unconscious impulses. Maybe you're operating off of past life trauma. Maybe you're operating off of something to do with the way you unconsciously sabotage yourself. So watch out for the professional blowouts, perhaps. Mostly they can happen here for that sixth house workspace combo. And you can really find that almost like using Jupiter in the second house would be like, I'm going to choose nonviolent communication. I'm going to use my insights into how to communicate effectively because I read several books on how to do nonviolent communication. And so suddenly you are hugely adept at causing less of a flare up than it needs to be. Finally, because this moon Nessus is in a 12th house, if it's not about you, because it doesn't have to be, watch for somebody else. That like it can be a hidden enemy energy that's going to try to undermine you around the work situation, or a foreigner who might try to undermine you around your work situation to take some gnarly, nasty revenge on you and act in that hidden enemy vibration. Yet again, Jupiter will solve the problem because there will be a wedge forming as well on the 31st. You may feel this the 30th, the 31st, and the 1st of September. Okay, we're going to move into the next sign. Give me a sec. I have to edit the chart. We're going to be doing Taurus because I'm not in the right house system to move my chart on the software. I'm going to move to whole sign houses. Here we go. All right. Now we got to get back to Taurus. Sorry, guys. Unfortunately, now I'm moving in hours. Yeah, hours don't work. All right, if you're not dizzy yet, I am. All right, here comes Taurus. So we're doing August 31st. Just ignore that it says the 30th. It's just I know no matter which way I do a wedge, I'm going to lose the wedge. Okay, you can sort of vaguely see a wedge in here, right? Right there. There's the wedge. Do you see that? All right, so the moon and Nessus, poison, maybe poison words, emotional revenge energy, wanting to get back, someone wanting to get back at somebody, acting from a place of deep pain, emotional pain, maybe even not seeing the big picture with Neptune, sort of deluded here. And what happens is it may not be your story. An elder sibling for you, Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising, or a friend or somebody in your social networks could be the one out picturing that 11th house lunar element. That new moon is dark, right? We can't see it in the sky either. So some of this may out picture it 3 days later when the moon is more visible, but nonetheless, we can see this possibility of a deeply unconscious person in our 11th house. And they're focalizing a lot of intensity at Mercury in the 5th, aiming at your creativity, your entrepreneurship, your business. Maybe one of your children is having a blowout, Mercury across the way from that 11th house with a friend or your elder sibling. Maybe your communications from your lover or a love partner is flaring and flash pointing 5th house energies, Mercury retrograde. The retrograde can invite in old stories, old communications with children and lovers and romantic partners that were left undone, and now they're coming back for renewal or revision. Jupiter, though, he's the breaker of the tension in the first house of you. You be all wise and knowing. You be all truth and wisdom. You get your Jupiter robe on. You act like King Solomon, and you judge the warring parties fairly. Basically, I don't think this is about you. You have to be the one to sit on the sidelines of a disagreement between fifth house people and 11th house people. Or you could say emotional content around career gains and money and things you make from your career as it pertains to tension and hard communications with a sibling. I mean, not a sibling, well, from a sibling, but also to do with, your children or your lover. Best I can do on just a thing that happens over a couple of days. And we have a hornet in my space. I'm just going to tell him to leave, yellow jacket, whatever, please. I'm just talking to a bug because my window's open, and hopefully he got my telepathic signal. I think he did. Good. I mean, eek. I get really swollen from those sorts of stings, not from bees, ironically, just from those yellow jacket things. Sorry, I just went way ahead again. No accounting for my lack of precision today, guys. Gemini sun, Gemini moon, but most accurate, likely rising sign. If you are looking at this moon in the 10th house, you'll notice it's new, right? The sun is opposite, and it's on the 31st, right? That this energy, the day after the exact full moon, that the moon with Nessus will form a energetic opposition to Mercury. Some harsh and difficult, hopefully not vindictive and revenge oriented, poisonous words, emails, and phone calls coming into your life, maybe through the 4th house energy for your home, people you live with, your domestic environment. Now, Mercury's strong here, and he does rule commerce, and he is trining Pluto in your 8th house of mortgages. And so you could be, as a Gemini sun, moon, and rising, looking at mortgage and real estate issues or thoughts here, or financing, or banks, or credit cards. And it's all fine and dandy. And then there's this oppositional energy to whatever is going on in the money, financing, home story, and some 10th house authority figure. I really want to say authority figure with Saturn up there, right? There's somebody in charge. So watch for these kinds of, who's emotionally over the top. It probably isn't you, right? You are the ascendant in Gemini. An over the top, emotionally fraught boss, or director, or someone in sales, I don't know, someone in charge. And there's a tension between what's going on there at work and what's going on in the home life. And Mercury might be saying, I just want to stay home. Let's just write from home, work from home, and the boss is saying you have to stay here. This is August 31st, but flank it by a couple of days on either side. And I do want to say that perhaps with Jupiter being the tension breaker, the one who resolves the situation in the 12th house, I would use non-ordinary resolution means. I would do a little bit of a prayer, a blessing, a affirmation, a vision board. 12th house energies are like that, especially with the knowingness of Minerva and the insights and ahas from Uranus. Unless, of course, your work involves foreign shore commerce and travel, and it can be very literal. All right. Or that you have a sudden travel opportunity to foreign shore that could get you out of Dodge with the work home tensions here. I would take it. Gurus and spiritual guides could also help soothe the waters by giving you advice and guidance to tell you how to deal with this, bad work situation. Now, if you don't have a boss and you're self-employed like I am, then I could have a flashpoint in my reputation, right? Like, for example, I'm a progressed Gemini sun, where there's some kind of hot and bothered, revengey, pain-filled somebody in my field of endeavor. Is that the bug on me? Who wants to lash out at me while I'm busy making videos and recording content with my YouTube channel stuff at home. Anyway, it's the first time I tried to do something specific, like a daily event, because there's no major aspect patterns forming here, and I've already done the moon, and there's a whole video on it, and I will be doing Uranus separately. So I'm picking and choosing what is in between. All right, August 31st, remember that's the date we're kind of focused on here, give or take a day on either side. If you are a Cancer sun, moon, and rising sign, what happens is that you have this emotional intensity in the 9th house. That can be a teacher, an academic advisor, a college campus setting event, a legal matter, courts and legal matters, foreign shores and foreigners, spiritual beliefs, and book publishing, all the meanings of the ninth house. Now, it's very interesting to see Moon Saturn up there, because that can be an authority figure, maybe female, maybe not, having an emo moment, completely losing their cool, losing their shit. Nessus, wanting to take revenge, wanting to act out. So Nessus was like the guy who told Hercules' wife that the robe with his blood would keep Hercules true to her. In fact, it was poison and it killed him. And that's, really deceptive energy. And so watch for deception from those ninth house figures. Again, foreigners can be in the ninth house. Spiritual guides and even therapists sometimes can be there, depending what kind of therapist you're looking at. This tension between this emotional moon energy with Nessus plays out across to Mercury in your third, of siblings, travel, sometimes cousins, and skills-based learning, the local neighborhood and the neighbors. Now, who knows? I mean, these are so hard to parse, these stories. I'm actually going to admit that. I'm going to tell you, I'm not having the easiest time making sense of it for all signs, because it's such a fleeting moment in time. But Mercury can be information, news, and phone calls coming through the emails of the online platforms, some information or news you read about. And it sends a flashpoint of intensity up through the ninth house, a confrontation or a difficult emotional energy, and confrontation being that Saturn up there as well, wanting to rein things in. I don't know. Watch out here if you're in a third marriage, because third marriages belong to the ninth house, for flashpoints in a third marriage. You've been married 3 times. That's what does it mean when you say third marriage? Third marriage. What else can it mean? Holy man, I just don't get the question. Okay. News from a sibling, that causes tension in the ninth house. I mean, be literal. You have planned to travel to foreign land, a sibling reaches out. There's all this tension because you can't take the trip because they need you to come visit them or something. And then Jupiter's trying to solve all this problem. Jupiter is in the house of the elder sibling, whereas Mercury's in the house of the younger sibling. Maybe an elder sibling can soothe the tension with a sibling as it connects to ninth house matters. Again, travel is one of the big ones here. And don't forget, it's a full moon up here. Like maybe there's a whole fullness. You wanted to travel to somewhere far off, and or you want that legal thing to complete at last, or you want that book publisher to finally say yes. Mercury is a writer down here, and you have to revise a thing one more time. And there's a huge amount of vitriol, maybe. And Jupiter, a friend, an ally, a benefactor, an elder sibling, calms everyone down. Everyone take a chill pill. Let's get like King Solomon in and work it out with a little knowing and wisdom and insight. So lean into friends, especially larger social groups of belonging. Ask your crew at the knitting club what to do with this tension. All right, I am going to go on to Leo, but I'm going to grab a little chocolate to keep me in motivation mode. Yes, I am wearing my pajama bottoms. I'll be right back. Okay, let's keep going, guys. I just took a little chocolate break today. It's kind of hot here, FYI, but it's also fire and smoke in Vancouver, Canada. Look at the hazy skies, and I'm torn between opening my window and breathing smoke, and I don't have AC. Nobody does in Vancouver, really. Okay, so moving on. We're here. Don't forget, check out the all signs videos for the moon that's coming up on the 30th. Because it's more detailed than I can possibly do here. All right, so Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. What's happening here is that you're moving into a period of time. I'm going to open oh my God, I guess I'm so hot. Let me just get the fan rolling. I'll be right back. I'm back. Whew. All right. All right. Back into the story. If you are a Leo, you got the energy of a hot spot in the sky on August 31st. Like, whoa, hot spot, man. And it's going to feel like an emotional turbulence coming from an 8th house place. Unfortunately, that's a very subtle spot where the moon is with Nessus for revenge and acting out from pain and dark energies here. Whew, and across from Mercury for poison communication, difficult conversations, lashing out. Well, the speech house is a second. You might be the one speaking with a forked tongue or some difficult conversations about money with somebody in your life, shared resources with a spouse, for example, some hard conversations there, some hard conversations with the tax accountant or advisor, but more than hard, someone's got an emotional thing going on. We got some over the top emotion. So who's having the emotional hissy fit? I don't know. Somebody wants to rein in, control, finances to do with 401k, stocks, investments, mortgages, credit cards, credit card debt. Who's got the speech across the way? It's retrograde. You've been talking about this with someone before. It's not the first rodeo with that business partner, marriage partner, tax accountant, financial advisor. You're back at it again. It's definitely looking like difficult conversation here for sure. With Saturn here, by the way, in your chunky money 8th house of all those money stuff, through the next 3 years, you're definitely trying to stabilize your money, right? It also can mean inheriting money from a senex, an elder, like a grandparent, just so you know. Now, over the next 3 years, you got Jupiter giving you the wisdom, like this King Solomon, Queen, smarty pants up here, like the judge, the wise one, the all-knowing energy, all up here with insights for Uranus at a tip of a wedge that gets formed on the 31st. And so you could definitely look at this as an opportune time to ask somebody for advice who you look up to, somebody like an authority in your workspace or someone that you look up to in general, Jupiter in the 10th house. For sage-like knowledge and wisdom, advice and guidance, and for the truth, because this is a house of secrets. And so some of you Leos might be looking at some kind of divulging of a secret that is going to be very, very intense, something you didn't know, you find out about it. Woo, wow. Especially with Pluto heading into Aquarius next year. Eek. If you are in a relationship, like a marriage type relationship, things get very intense next year, and this could be the first salvo of some intense discussions around shared resources, money, but also secrets, sexual secrets, money secrets. Those kinds of secrets may be popping into your awareness, but some sage-like figure can be of guidance, or you could be leaning into career activities to diffuse the tension in your day around the 31st, give or take a day on either side. So if you are a Virgo, sun, moon, and rising especially, this energy of a Nessus infused lunation, new moon still present here, new beginnings in your marriage house or in your significant love partnership house. This is not easy. This is right across the way from you. There's your speech, you're retrograding to talk about, communicate about, ideate about, think about things you've been thinking about for a long time. Mercury's been retrograde since August 23rd. And it's till September 15th. You're thinking about your marriage partnership for sure, but many things, right? Is this the one for me? Do I want to stick with this person? Marriage meaning monogamous, committed love. You may be thinking about your partnerships in all kinds of ways, just business and love, or clients as well. So you're going back over old ground, you're retilling soil till September 15th, and all of a sudden there's this like blowout energy on the 31st. Now I give you guys advice, right? Because why else would you listen to astrology? Just to tell you bad things are going to happen? The advice is, holy man, maybe it's hold your tongue. That could work, but get some help. Go to a counselor, go seek counsel, because the house of guides and counselors is where Jupiter sits with Minerva, knowledge, wisdom, and all-knowing, and insights and penetrative ahas. So you can get some true guidance here, all right, from some kind of counselor type figure, pastor, preacher, mentor, guide, something like that, to help you diffuse some very difficult situation with maybe a way over emotional spouse type relationship partner or business partner. I mean, to the point where they are like going to be mean, very mean, nasty energy here. Be on guard for that, especially controlling too, with Saturn here, trying to control you maybe. And Saturn's gonna like take you to task. There's not a Virgo rising in this world who isn't going to know if their relationship, if they're in one, will make or break by February of 2026. Okay, it's going to be a testing period if you're already with someone. If you're in academic environments, like my daughter's a Virgo rising, and there's Jupiter up here breaking some tension, any kind of tension you have with legal contracts, legal arrangements, with your spouse, with your main squeeze, that you're dealing up, the goodness, the outlet for it is an academic environment. So I don't know, study hard, work hard, go to school, and try to diffuse your attention, or take a trip to a foreign country and diffuse the tension you're experiencing with some significant other person in your life. Every now and then, 7th house is a friend, not a husband or wife. And so if you have a close friend that's almost like you could be married, that tension blow up could be happening here. Lunar could be a female, but the moon just represents emotional intensity in this regard. Okay, moving on. Hey, Libra, sun, moon, and rising, especially rising. And what we got happening is this August 30th, give or take a day on either side, August 31st, give or take a day on either side, hot spot in the sky with the asteroid for revenge and acting from pain, some poison involved here too. Mercury may be poison communication and words from your sixth house. This is literally somebody that could be in the workspace, Libra, a colleague, a coworker, an employee, an employer type environment. This is also, of course, health issues and things related to your physical health. I don't think anything I can say about revenge it could be here, but you could be highly emotional, or somebody could be highly emotional in a health and health matter, you know, and then it's playing out into the house of hospitals. Now, hospitals in the 12th house, you know, this is usually not you in a hospital. Someone you know could be in a hospital. And then there's this intense tension, especially, by the way, if someone is in a hospital who's a solar figure, father figure, grandfather, whatever, then there's all this blowout energy going on, very emotional, because this is also the house of debts, karmic debts. Also the house of pets. What? Your pet gets super emotional on the 31st? barks to oblivion? I don't know. But, you know, I doubt that your pet's emotional, but emotional stuff about your pets, emotional stuff about rental and tenancy agreements, but also, hey, Mercury solar figure energy could be a male figure in a sickness environment, a hospital setting, and some tension going on here as well. Maybe the success can be caretakers or nurses and doctors as well. And there's blowout between a person in a hospital, the care staff kind of thing. Anyway, there's tension to be relieved for whatever this is in your 8th house of chunky money. There's also money in the 6th house, debt that's owed. So, and there's money that can be accrued in the 12th. There's a lot of money here. So possibly around the 31st, give or take a day on either side, there is the potential for some resolution through financial upswing, especially Uranus, sudden upswing, wisdom and knowledge, but inheritances as well. Trust funds, inheritances, that kind of money. If you're a Libra, you're likely to inherit some kind of money. You probably will. Not everyone will, but some of you will by the end of this transit of Jupiter through your 8th house, which ends, by the way, on the 3rd week of May next year. Jupiter in the 8th house, seek occult wisdom and guidance. Go see a tarot card reader. Go see an astrologer. Figure out what you need to do by getting that kind of insight into this maybe work dilemma, upset, blowout energy, especially with the moon ruling your 10th house of career. For some of you, there's some kind of blowout in a job career setting, and it may be resolvable with financial agreements, but it also may require some occult guidance, somebody who knows the inside scoop intuitively. What's the next best step? All right, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. So energetically, we have this story going on the 31st with this intense moon that can involve, you know, acting out from pain, revenge, the word poison. The moon is on Nessus, right? It's your 5th house. It's your 5th house of children. May not be you, you know, everyone thinks the whole chart's about them. May not be. One of your kids is having an emotional effing blowout on the 31st if you have children. Or your partner romantically, the one with whom you are sexually active or romantically involved with. And interestingly, if it's a child situation and we're in this condition, just know that with Saturn in your 5th house for the next 3 years, you're stabilizing your children connections. Like some of them you might be more stern, more parental, more authoritative with them, or so that they may be going through hard times. So if they are going through hard times with Saturn here, some hardship for your children, grown or otherwise, this could be a child blowout moment. And it's opposite Mercury in the house of your larger social groups and friends, also the career gains you're having. For example, child is a hot mess, needs your attention, and you have to take time off work, and that's going to impact your career gains. But the words up here that Mercury can speak, and he's retrograde, are nothing new, or that the communication that can come from a sibling, elder, or a friend about what's going on with that hot and bothered 5th house. Your 5th house can be your mentors, your entrepreneurial business. So if you at all have an entrepreneurship type of life, then some kind of entrepreneurial or creative endeavor is experiencing a fullness, sure, but with some painful, revengey Nessus overlay. And Jupiter wants to smooth it out from the legal contract 7th house. Not bad. Legal contract seals the deal, and someone's no longer emotional in that 5th house, You sign a contract to send your difficult child off to a boarding school. Your seventh house can be your spouse, obviously, and business partners. And you can look to them for help, right? Jupiter, Uranus, Minerva, meaning that there's insight, wisdom, and guidance, knowledge, and truth available by seeking counsel from a Jupiter figure. But in the seventh house, it could just be your spouse or your main partner or your business partner for advice and guidance on what to do with this fifth house, 11th house, crisis energy, tension energy, blowout energy on the 31st. Proactively, let your partner handle it. If you're married and you have kids, let your partner handle this one and see what they can pull off to soothe a very disruptive event regarding parenting, perhaps. Well, I'll add one more thing. Do you want to have a baby? Because if you're not pregnant and you want to have a child, Venus is about to step into your 11th, and Jupiter, which can create an opportunity for children in beginning in October, and Jupiter is in your 7th, which does the same thing, especially if your partner wants a baby. So another way of looking at this is there some kind of tension going on regarding conception and childbirth, and are you having to resolve it by aligning with guidance from others, especially your own partner? Okay, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising around the 31st of August, give or take a day on either side. The sky opens up a bit of a volatile emotional time in your fourth house. And that fourth house story can involve revenge, acting from emotionally from pain. But this isn't you, somebody you live with, most likely. It's a completion of full moon. Is it time for somebody to move out of the house? Are you finally completing a cycle that started way the hell back, in February, March, about ending a relationship with someone you live with or domestic squabbles? But whatever's going on here, Saturn's making your home life hard. You may feel alone, isolated for the next 3 years, home alone. And now somebody in the home place is having an emotional outburst. I mean, it could be you because you live in the home, but it could be someone you live with. And this emotional intensity that could be very vicious or mean or revenge oriented that you're having to encounter is being opposed by Mercury in your very public, visible reputation, 10th house. Now, you may say that Mercury is saying, to whoever you're living with, stop, just stop. Because my reputation is at stake here. And this is a retrogradation. So you've been here before. This is nothing new. You're going back to figure something out where there's been some tension in the home, and Mercury and the moon are representing a culminating point because it's a full moon. You might want to consider, though, that you have that sun up there and a boss authority figure. You know what I mean? Someone in charge. That somebody in charge could be taking a lot of attention here, communicating strongly, Mercury and Virgo, about things that haven't been resolved in your work and purpose situation. And the full moon in the bottom of the sky is somebody in the home life objecting, because honestly, I mean, with the sun up here and Mercury about to go direct September 15th, some of you can negotiate a contract or raise or change your job. And maybe somebody's objecting at home because there's a clash of desires. Jupiter, like for instance, you might have to move. You might have to change your home because of work situations. Maybe someone you live with doesn't like that, because Jupiter in your 6th house, is breaking the tension, but that's a house of pets and tenants. That's a house of rentals and rental agreements. That's a house of debts that you may hold, karmic and real. And so Jupiter may be a good place to resolve tension would be to talk to I hate to say your landlord, but if you're renting a place and you live with anyone else who's there, you can tell your landlord, this is not tenable, this person needs to go. Although I don't see why a landlord would make that decision. You may consult a healthcare provider, Jupiter in the 6th, to help resolve whatever's going on at home, including therapists and nurses and doctors, just because healthcare providers are often 6th house people, to seek wisdom and knowledge and counsel from healthcare-oriented people. Lastly, maybe this person just needs a pet to love them up, because Jupiter, Uranus, and Minerva say, let's get a pet, and that will solve the problem. That wayward, gnarly roommate child can take succor in a lovely lapdog, for example. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Well, this is going to be an emotionally intense area of the 3rd house around the 31st of August, give or take a day on either side. That's your siblings and cousins, younger sibling in particular, cousins. Sometimes it can extend further, like aunts and uncles, but it's usually siblings and cousins. And you may find yourself having some gnarly tension with that sibling. they're having the tension. They're all blowing up out of proportion because the tension is sextiling you. So it's their issue, not yours. But there can be some blow up, an emotional blow up, some intensity, some acting out regarding travel or with a neighbor. Yeah, the third house or neighbors. Watch for a neighbor like lobbing an egg at your car or something, or keying your car. Something going on here. Watch out for gnarly neighbors. That's definitely a warning. Gnarly neighbor crisis, middle of this week, August the 31st. And you could see that the tension's coming off the ninth house. That's normally the house of justice, and Mercury and Sun are like, hey, like, what's fair, legal matters can be here. Homeowners want you to move your plants off the front property, and you're like, no, and you go check it out with a quorum, a vote. But there's some kind of conversation between 9 and 3. It could be difficult and intense and emotional circumstances around travel. And choices around travel, difficulties with travel and siblings, neighbors and travel, authority figures, father figures in court legal matters or academic settings as well. So there could be educational tension in the part of the sky for Capricorns as well. Foreign lands, especially if you're looking to get visas, passports, and things squared away. Mercury retrograde's delaying things. And there's tension in the travel house with somebody you may travel with, right? Who's unhappy with the way things are looking. Jupiter wants to resolve it in the 5th house. Lean to your children, of all things, to help you figure out the answers to this crisis, or ask Jupiter in the 5th house, your romantic partner, to give you some good guidance for how to resolve this tension that's going on here. Finally, Jupiter can bring sudden money luck here. That's always possible with Venus in the 8th house as well, talking to Jupiter. So it could be some unexpected financial gain, can also help soothe this travel, visa, neighbor, sibling tension in the sky, August 31st, give or take a couple of days. All right, I'm an Aquarius rising. This is for us Aquarius sun, moon, and especially rising. So we have this potential lunar blowout intensity acting from pain in the 2nd house of speech, but also the 2nd house of earnings. So we could be speaking, right? We could be the ones with this kind of emotional speech this coming out of our mouth around the 31st. But we also could be, witnessing it. It may not be us. The 2nd house is about your earnings and voice and vocation and calling energetically, and self-worth and self-value. There's a full moon coming to completion, things that you started way back in the day, back in February, particularly February, March, about earnings and greater career gains. You planted new seeds here. It's coming to fullness. But even as you do, there's this gnarly temptation for maybe difficult poison speech, especially if it involves spilling a secret or telling something that nobody should know. Like, Mercury retrograde goes over old ground, digs up the past in your 8th house of secrets. And, there can be some secret revelation going on for you and me around the 31st. And it may not be us spilling the secret. It could be a sibling, or not a sibling. It could be somebody from our family of origin as well. In Vedic astrology too, the family you grew up with is a 2nd house. And we also have Jupiter in the 4th, which is a similar vibe. So maybe having some family stories emerge, secrets emerge, a lot of emotion, a lot of maybe wanting to blurt something out in the public or in general during this time, not necessarily public, but so be cautious with your speech August 31st. Look to 4th house people to soothe the way. Mother figures can be 4th house people from your family of origin and childhood. Consult them for guidance. Jupiter, Uranus, Minerva, resource the knowledge and wisdom you can accrue from your home. You have a book on the shelf that'll tell you how to deal with this. Do you have any sage-like guides or visitors in your home who can tell you how to cope with it? Just a minute of tension here, August 30th, 31st, and September 1st. Blowout time. Well, chunky money and dead people, 8th house. So you may have some communication with a dead person with that 8th house retrograde Mercury. He's close to Earth, synchronicity is high. It's important to listen in for the spirits of the dead. Why you would have intensity around whatever comes through from dead people, I don't know. But also with Jupiter in the fourth house, some of this can be around property, land, and real estate, money, chunky money, credit cards, and inheritances, and some conversations that are very difficult, some difficult speech around these matters going into the lives of many of us Aquariuses on or about the 31st of August. Finally, we're going to complete the story with Pisces sun, moon, and rising. And then reminding you, if you're in the premiere, hit the like button. Don't forget to check out my Sky Reader course, everybody. And also, I didn't do much promotion on this video. The Uranus video, All Signs, will be important. Okay, it's going to be an important one of the retrogrades of Uranus because he stations on Minerva. And so if you want to listen to that, it should be coming out maybe on Wednesday this week, because it does apply to events through to January 27th. I'm not in a huge rush to get it out, but it should be out midweek this week. Okay. All right. Pisces sun, moon, and rising. All right. So look at you being emotional, maybe even deluded, maybe even confused and fogged up, but trying to get a realistic handle on what's upsetting you around the 31st, because you are the big full moon blowout with Nessus here. You are feeling this full light shining on you, in you, as you. And what are you doing here? You started new things here, maybe back in February, March, new beginnings, new moon in Pisces back then. What's blowing up here, blowing out? Yeah, what's coming to the light here? It can literally be something that is very much about your partner in business or love. With Mercury across the way and aiming a conversation straight back at that full moon in the sign of you might be the one, by the way, that feels vengeful or really hurt or whatever, because it's Nessus on the full moon in you, right? You're feeling that. But this may be a combative conversation, a difficult oppositional discussion, or whatever going on with either a business partner, a client, or a significant other. And tread lightly here, because this is a flashpoint, but it's not the whole story. And so whatever this emotional upset may be on the 31st, not every single Pisces will feel it, rising more so than sun or moon, but maybe all of you could definitely be feeling a little out of control, right? I mean, we're moving into that trine from Mercury to Jupiter, which is going to be so soothing and all will be well. But the 31st can be like, holy moly. Be careful that there aren't words spoken between you and a significant person in your life that can't be taken back. Mercury loves to do contractual arrangements, especially in this case for travel. A contract to travel connecting to a sibling is one possibility here during this day, but there's still tension around all of the details and the agreements, especially if it revolves around contracts and legal agreements. Now, honestly, the other thing is Jupiter in your third house could be a guide, a mentor, or some helpful advice with insight and knowledge coming from a sibling, coming from a neighbor, coming from a cousin, or coming from somebody that you associate with in your local environs. Going down to the bar, you're really upset, and there's Joe the bartender, and you have a great conversation, and you calm the heck down on August the 31st. Give or take a day on either side. I'm with the Pisces rising, my soulmate James. I'm going to be very watchful about what we say and do on the 31st, looking at his sky. Now, a lot of this is contextual to the degree of your ascendant and other planets. This is why this is bell curve astrology, everybody. But watch for big emotional flashpoints coming through the sky that require serious discussions or difficult discussions on August 31st. Now, thank you for listening. And if you're still watching me and you're in the live premiere, hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications, subscribe, share my videos, please. It helps my channel grow. Don't forget that my Sky Reader course will start the third week of September. It will be full. I don't let everyone sign up because I can't manage 1,000 people. Usually I cap it. And unless I get some assistant teachers. And if you want to sign up that course, the wait list is in the description box below. Just follow the link. The wait list is so that when the card opens, you hear about it, you get an early bird discount and you get into the course. All right. Then it goes into the public and everyone knows about it maybe a week after that. So this September, I'm unrolling all of those things into the world. Everyone have a wonderful week ahead. It's not the worst week I've ever seen. And we'll be talking about Uranus retrograde. Stay tuned for that video. Later in the week, we'll be talking about that Mercury trining Jupiter, second of three passes. We're going to do the deep dive into that Uranus retrograde story as well. that because it's not just a gloss over the one coming out on Wednesday or so. That's going to go a little bit deeper. All right, thanks for listening. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for being a part of my world and supporting my growth in my channel. Stay tuned for me getting a couple of great astrologers into the group and into our crew. One of them is Candice Marie of Beyond the Veil Tarot. She's going to be doing I think we're going to be doing the Taurus 28-degree eclipse video together. And I love bringing astrologers that I love onto my channel. I've always been like, let's share the love. So everyone have a wonderful August 28th week ahead. Ciao, ciao.